Chapter 10. The Hunt. Aware, alert, and awake, Kai decided to trick his mind into viewing the exhaustion he felt from a lack of food as a challenge he was uniquely deemed worthy of by Odin to undertake. And so he began. Rather than walk through the forest, he walked with it. Doing this necessitated that he consciously let go and listen, that he take his hands off, commanding the direction of his boat, and give that task over to the wind. Breathing in deeply, he waited. He felt the call to wait, to trust. But this waiting did not come naturally to Kai. For all his life, all that he did was active. Kai was constantly active. It was how his mind worked. But this waiting, this letting go, though unnatural to him, was still an act far from sedentary. It was, and had to be for him, unlike the way most other minds functioned, a conscious and intentional act. It was for him active inactivity, for if he was not intentional about being inactive, he simply resorted to being unintentionally active. And so Kai waited on an empty stomach, but not in a half-hearted, lethargic way where his mind drifted in and out of focus. Rather, he waited fully alive to all the possibilities and opportunities in front of him. He waited in gratitude and anticipation. Each quiet second, minute, and hour wasn't a second, minute, or hour wasted that brought him closer to death, but seconds, minutes, and hours that brought him closer to his kill, to life. The mist of the forest was getting denser as winter's ruthless love affair with the snow brought in shivers that permeated Kai's skin, making direct contact with every bone in his body. He felt cold, and yet, by taking active control of his mind and giving it over to the wind, with the trust that it would provide, he felt a greater sense of warmth. Hunger pains meant delirium, but he surpassed and even transcended this deprivation by substituting his physical delirium with the spiritual one that came from trusting the gods' provision. Suddenly, he heard a snap, like that of a twig. It didn't come from behind him in the same manner that the squirrels had been jumping from branch to branch. It was a clean snap from something that carried weight, and the sound had come from ahead of him. "That's maybe 25 meters away," he quietly thought to himself. Quietly, he began to roll his leather shoes as he walked at a pace far slower than the one he had undertaken his first unsuccessful attempt. Scanning to his right, he immediately gave a double look at something that caught his attention. There was scratched and stained bark on the pine tree he nearly passed up. "Antler marks," Kai observed, almost falling over in disbelief. But where from here? When everything in Kai wanted to jump in a conclusive direction, something, a presence that could be deemed human almost, held him back. He chose to continue waiting. Suddenly, a group of crows flew left, away from the trees ahead of him as opposed to their normal pattern of flying upward. Kai followed the path leading to the bird's prior location, and that path slowly began to form into raised walls on each of his sides. He was now in a gully that weaved left and right as he calmly and collectively moved forward. As he continued stepping quietly inside the gully, a brown figure 40 yards in front of him abruptly caught his eye just as he turned the corner. It was a female elk with her back turned. Sliding his hand to his bow, Kai silently drew an arrow from his quiver. Breathing in the wind, he counted to 3 and released. But just as he had done so, another brown figure, one smaller but with antlers, came out from the bushes on the right and stepped in front of the female elk. The arrow struck the calf. The surprised mother elk turned around. Before assessing the situation, she charged at Kai with full fury. Before Kai could react, he found himself flat on his back. Looking up, he saw a pair of hooves coming down. A half a second later, his left shoulder felt the sensation of being shattered by something akin to a heavy metal pole. Screaming in pain, he looked up again and saw the same two hooves coming down, this time closer to his chest. But before another half-second passed for a repeated blow to his body, Kai instinctively rolled to his right and drew out his axe. Almost immediately after getting up, he felt the aggressive push of two wet nostrils push him back down. Kai rolled to his left and got up again, but wasted no time wielding his axe. His swing was met with the pleasurable sensation of ripping through the skin of his violent foe. "Die! Die! Die!" he raged at levels of intense, untamed, and unrestrained decibels that tore through his vocal cords. Screaming like a savage with nothing to lose, he tore through the cow's flesh and bone until he lost his vision from being blinded by the hot blood that now completely covered his eyes, ears, mouth, and hair in the cold winter air. The paradox of the pleasurable sensations of hot blood on him mingled with the freezing mist surrounding him was like the mystery of the fullest satisfaction derived from sitting by a warm fire only after first being out in the cold all day. Kai, no longer a dead man, was now fully alive.